Hello, and welcome to the Notary News Channel. This is a forum for all things notary and some things not. My name is Desiree Roman Rodriguez, and I'm a subject matter expert in all things notary in the state of Illinois. I am also an enrolled agent credentialed by the Internal Revenue Service to prepare taxes and represent taxpayers before the IRS. Be sure to like and subscribe to our video channel so that you could receive the latest updates and videos that help you with your business and your work-life balance. This week's Notary News channel is going to be about home repairs and the tax credits that you can get for them. Very often, notaries, signing agents, and small business entrepreneurs work from home. And usually, a home office deduction is taken into account, but often a lot of the deductions are not accounted for. And having a good CPA or enrolled agent or other tax professional assist you with your home office deduction expenses will always get you the most back for your tax return. There are some really great tax deductions that homeowners can deduct from their taxes if they use their home for their business. And renters are also able to get some of these great tax deductions as well. When calculating your home office deduction, you have to include all of the expenses that are required to run and maintain the home. Very often, people only think that the expenses related to fixing or repairing the actual office itself is the only thing that's tax deductible, and that is not the case. You are able to deduct all of the expenses related to running and maintaining the home. The trick is it's only going to be a percentage of those expenses. In previous video, we talked about how the home office deduction is calculated, and a ratio is compiled to determine what percentage of the space that you use in the home relative to the entire home square footage is going to be the ratio used to determine the amount of expenses that you can deduct. So some of the things that you can include in those deductions would be the mortgage interest that you pay, not the entire mortgage, just the interest. If you're a renter, the entire cost of the rent that you pay, it would be included as deductible. It would also include your utilities, including sewer, water, trash, recycling expenses. It also will include any lawn care, shoveling of snow, salting of sidewalk. The expenses that you incur for those things also count. Other things that count include replacing flooring, replacing appliances, replacing carpeting, and then also painting of the home, and other things like replacing your furnace, your boiler, your hot water tank, your air conditioning system, or putting insulation in the home, or replacing roof, windows, and doors. All of those expenses count toward your home office deduction. Now, again, you're not going to get the full cost of what it cost you to replace those items, but you will get a percentage. But there's another tax deduction that a lot of taxpayers are unaware of. And if they don't mention this expense to their tax preparer, then they don't get the deduction. Now, oftentimes you have to think about where you're going to get the bigger tax benefit. So, the second tax deduction that I'm talking about is the residential energy tax credit. Now, this is a tax credit that homeowners get, and I'm sorry, renters, this would not apply to you, but homeowners would get this residential energy tax credit for very specific expenses that they incur. And this particular credit is maxes out at $500, and it's for the life of your home. So once you max out your residential energy credit, Then you can include any other expenses back into your home office deduction. So, what are these specific expenses? Well, this would include the expenses I mentioned just a minute ago. It's going to be your air conditioning, your boiler, your furnace, hot water tank, a tankless water tank. It'll be if you're replacing a metal or asphalt roof, windows, exterior doors, if you're putting in skylights into your home, or any solar powered anything, solar powered roofing, those kinds of expenses would fall under the residential energy credit. Now, the same as with the home office deduction, you don't get the full cost of what you've spent. You get a percentage of what you spent. So, for example, the max you would get on replacing a furnace or a boiler would be $150. But the max that you can get on replacing a roof would actually be 10% of the total expense that you incurred. So windows max out at $200. And so how the credit works is you start with $500, and let's say you replace your windows and you max the credit at $200. So that $200 comes off of the 500, and that means you now have $300 left of that credit to use in future years. So then let's say the next year you replace your front door and your back door. Then the money you spent on that, a percentage of that, typically 10%, then reduces the $300, and then so on and so on. Now, it is possible to max the entire credit in one expense depending on how much you spent. So, for example, let's say you spent $7,000 replacing your roof, then the credit on that would be 10%. So, the credit would normally be $700, but you would max it at the 500. And then in that situation, you would no longer have any more residential energy credit. The trick to maximizing your tax deductions is going to be figuring out where you're going to get the most tax credit. So, if you're a homeowner, then you definitely want to check residential energy credit first before putting it under your homeowner deduction. But I do want to say one thing for renters. When you move from a location and you move to another apartment, if you incur a deduction from your deposit for repairs and maintenance, you can deduct that expense off of your home office deduction. Just be sure to get a receipt for that shows they applied part of your deposit to maintenance and repairs of the unit that you occupied, and then you can get that home office deduction credit for those repairs and maintenance that you paid for out of your deposit. But back to the residential energy credit. First, you want to check the residential energy credit and make sure that you can take the credit, you qualify for the credit, and you max that expense. The credit is only going to be for as long as you own that home. Now, if you replace the roof in that home, you maxed out the credit, and then you sold it and moved to another home, well, in the new home now begins another $500 energy credit for that home. So it's always going to be $500 energy credit for the home that you are living in for the life of that home. But if you max the credit, move, sell it, buy another home, and your new home is now your main home, you then get another $500 energy credit for that home. Now, for this particular credit, it was not in effect in 2018. Congress had not approved this credit, so it did not appear in 2019's tax forms. But in December of 2019, Congress went ahead and approved the credit retroactive to the 2018, 2019, and 2020 tax years. But by the time the 2020 tax season began, the tax forms were not ready. So many tax preparers filed their tax returns and did not get the opportunity to claim the credit. So if you fall into one of these categories for 2018, 2019, or 2020, then you need to amend your tax return and claim the credit on the form 5695, the residential energy credit form, and go ahead and get your tax credit for those expenses. Also note that this credit is not a cashback credit. So if you did your tax return and you owed zero in tax, you would not get to any cash back for this credit. So this essentially will be if you paid taxes and you had at least $500 in taxes that you paid, filing for this credit will get you that tax money back. But if you filed your tax return and your tax return ended up being zero, and or you paid zero in taxes, then there would be no credit to give to you because you had no tax. So that's going to be it for this week. If you have any tax questions or you would like to know more about deductions regarding your home office or your business, please feel free to send us an email at info@romanendeavors.com or visit our tax website at www.dizalbusiness.com. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a great day.